All right, folks. Thanks for popping in. We'll do us another Friday Night Live here. Almost let the time get away from me. I had it in my head that it was closer to 5:30, not 6:30, and I was out here setting up sheep fence on the other side of the driveway, and something told me I better check time. And I didn't have my phone on me. I had it on the charger because it's ancient and doesn't hold charge, hardly worth a damn. So yeah, yeah. So let's get caught up a little bit here. Hope everybody's had a good week. Um, Trying to think. Pippin, did you get walloped by any of that hurricane? Is everything okay with you guys down there? Um, I think Margot's good. We'll see if she pops in. Man, looks like some people got. I was seeing upwards of like 14 inches of rain where that cut across the southeast. We didn't really get anything from it in East Tennessee. So, uh, yeah, I hope things are, hope people are doing okay. It looks like it's a real mess. It was a slow moving hurricane from what I was able to gather, and we got like some wind pushing off of it. And we had a little rain shower yesterday, and that was it. So let me take a minute here and greet everybody who's hanging out. Pippin is here. Good to see you. Cormac is here on the other side of the pond. Cormac, remind me, you are in Scotland or Ireland? I'm being an ignorant American for a minute, but let me know. And I'm only asking because I've got very good friends who, for their honeymoon, they are in Scotland right now. They were in Edinburgh yesterday, and I'm loving the pictures. They're having a great time. I believe both of them can trace their ancestry back to there, so that's what they decided to do. And they're going to be there for like 3.5 weeks, so they get to really take their time and have a great time out there. Um, Off Grid Ping is here. Good to see you, Jamie. I'll be catching up with you in October before too long. And hey, Harold. Good to have Harold from Redemption Permaculture and the Modern Homesteading Podcast. That's where you can find his work. Okay, Cormac, you're in Northern Ireland. That's right. That's right. Okie dokie. Um, you know, all you guys sound alike to me. We probably, well, at least all the Southerners probably sound alike to you guys. But thank you so much for hanging out. Pippin says Central Florida was okay, decent bit of rain. Heard that the West Coast got a ton of rain. Yeah, yeah, it looked like that system just kind of moved really slow across those southern states and just sat and just dumped on people. So good thoughts going out to the folks dealing with all that, and hopefully communities and all that good stuff will be able to pull together and take care of business as need be. So we've had a good week out here. We're back to hot again, and it looks like we're going to finally get a break. Actually, well, really starting in the next couple of days, our lows are going to be down into like the mid 60s, which will be nice. So we'll actually be able to cool the house off overnight, and and that'll be pleasant. Since we've been in the upper 90s, by about 7 o'clock, if I'm not in class, so either if I'm coming home from jujitsu or if I'm home at 7 o'clock, Angel and I have been holding up in the bedroom, turning on the window unit, and watching a couple of episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine on her computer because we're incredibly old school like that on DVDs, guys. Been renting them from the library. And that's how we've been cooling down our evenings because it's just been rough. I actually had to take a break today about 3 hours ago. I did a bunch of mowing, helped Dad with some mowing around his place, and mowed trails for the new paddock that I'm getting set up, and was cleaning up a bunch of deadfall underneath some sycamore trees. And all of a sudden, like, I didn't feel good. And I was like, oh crap, I need to go cool off. So I stopped what I was doing, put down a couple of glasses of water with some electrolyte in it, and got into the pool. And then I laid in the bed for about a half hour, and then I was okay after that. So you guys pay attention. If you suddenly start to feel funny, for me, I either get real shaky or sometimes I get incredibly angry for no good reason. and those are always signs that I need to go literally cool off. That's how my body tells me that we are out of range, that I am too hot. And that's with, I mean, I've always got the wet towel. I've almost always, got one of these lightweight shirts on that I usually soak. I usually dunk it in the pool and then wring it out and put it back on. But sometimes it just catches up with you. So, uh, felt fine after I got a little rest in, and came out here and finished out this paddock. So, let me see my notes here. I don't know that I've got a whole lot of anything like super duper uh, new to share with you guys. Although I have been working over a concept in my mind that I'm probably going to end up talking about. Even I don't have it fully formed, so we'll see how that goes. But I did get around to pairing up the rabbits. So I put two females in, male and a female together, male and a female together, normal bunny sex, not like bunny, like threesome sex or anything like that. A few days ago, and just actually everything was calm. Nobody was fighting or freaking out or running from each other. So I just left them together for 24 hours. I didn't really have time like stand there and wait to see if the thing happened. So I am hoping the thing happened. And then I've now got those two females in their own individual little compartments in their hutch. And I kind of had to rearrange other rabbits, but everybody's got their spot. So we'll see here in about 28 days, 26 days, see if more rabbits come in. That would be nice. If not, I guess I'll try it again. They're pretty good at making more rabbits. So, I kind of want to have them on a cycle. And we kind of talked about this last week. So I think I've got worked out how theoretically the cycle could work. So I don't have dozens of baby rabbits all at once, because right now I don't have enough infrastructure to be tractoring dozens at a time. I kind of need to do like a small group, break, harvest, another small group, and so on. With all the rain that we've had and that cool down that we had earlier in the month, or kind of at the end of July, we've had a really nice like second growth of grass that I was frankly not expecting. So I was a little concerned that I was going to have to be looking at hay or getting into kind of some areas of the land that I'm trying to stockpile for winter for field hay, but we're looking good. So, and as of this evening, I'll move the sheep tomorrow morning, but I've got another about 6 days of grazing across the driveway from our place, which would also be my brother's uppermost backyard, and which is probably close to about an acre. And he had just let it grow. Sometimes he mows it, but he had just kind of let it grow. And so I hollered at him. I said, "Hey, are you planning to mow that, or can I graze it?" And he said, "Throw them in there. It's all good." So it is technically his backyard. So, I try not to have sheep right up on him. And we just kind of communicate on that as we get closer. So it actually made kind of the route that I'm taking the sheep on. It made for an easy next move. I've only got a relatively short distance to take them across, and I've got enough fence supplies to set up a little chute so they have a little guidance. I don't have sheep going all over the place, and they've got a nice big sycamore tree for shade. So that'll be good. And I guess I'll go ahead and talk about the hops harvest here. So maybe this was Saturday. I think it was Saturday. So the day after our last live stream, Tyler and Brian and I did the first harvest of hops. So they had like a 70-pound order. And if you look, I think I put it up on my Facebook. I got some photos and a little bit of video. When we cut the hops, so the hops are strung, they're about 25 feet tall. And I take a extension hedge trimmer and just cut them down at ground level, just cut the line. It's like a coconut core twine, heavy duty twine. And then Tyler operates the Bobcat with the box on it, like a little cage. Brian rides the cage, goes up, cuts off the hops from up top, and then we bundle and they all go into the dump trailer. And used to, real early on, so this hops have been going on for, I guess, about 11 or 12 years now. Used to, we would have people come out here and pick, but that kind of got to be a bit much with parking and infrastructure and everything. So what they do now is take the hops, whatever that order. So they basically harvest to order. So they had a 70-pound or so order for the brewery just down the road from us, and they take them over there and spread them out on the big, tables, picnic tables, and everything at that place, and the customers pick them. And it's a big thing. It's a lot of fun. I didn't get a chance to go down there and hang out for that because I had a prior commitment. But Tyler was telling me that it's pretty entertaining to how do I put this kindly? A lot of these people who come in and help with this are not farmers or homesteaders or hops growers or anything of the sort. They just think it's kind of cool and unique to participate in. But it's, I mean, these things have been outside. There's going to be bugs. There's going to be spiders. There's all kinds of things come out. When you're handling these vines, and they're itchy, and Tyler always tells people, like, pay attention. Like, some people can be a little bit allergic, not usually, like big time, but you can get a little rashy, a little irritated around your wrists and stuff from how scratchy those leaves are. So sound like they had a good time. The brew that will be named, that one will be named the Ball Camp, which is the name of our community here. And I'm not sure when that'll be out, but it won't be very long because they throw those they literally throw those hops in the batch. They have that batch rolling, ready to go, ready to be dry hopped, throw them in that day. And I'm not sure exactly what the brew time is. It's kind of been a while since I've done brewing, but we'll be they'll be having that out before too long. And of course, that'll be a very limited brew on tap at that brewery. So it's really nice to like participate directly in that in that kind of community brewing sort of thing. So there's plenty more hops to be picked. That was like 15% of the whole. And I think they did a second pick yesterday morning for another brewery, and then they're doing one I think on Sunday for the rest of them for the final brewery that they sell to. At which point I'll be able to throw the sheep and primrose back into the hops. The hops yard is, as it happens by this time every year, it's overcome with mostly Johnson grass, but there's a lot of other good forage in there too, and it's tall. We hadn't mowed it in a while. Once the hops have grown to a certain height, the grass doesn't hurt anything, so we don't really worry with keeping it mowed. It doesn't mess anything up. And there, once those flowers are developing well on up the string, especially now that we know we're going to be able to throw the sheep in it, it's just not a big deal to worry about the mowing. And I told Tyler, and I thought I told you guys about this, but it might have been a little bit, and some of you might have missed it. But back in early June, we tried to run the sheep through there for a very short period of time to let them leaf prune the vines, which is good for them. And then this is actually, sheep management of hops is a thing in other areas, especially over there in Cormac's side of the world. But for whatever reason that day, Primrose had a bee in her bonnet and kept chasing the sheep. I think she felt a little crowded because they had a long but a more narrow. I mean, they had 2 lanes worth. It was plenty of room, but for whatever reason, Primrose seemed to feel like she was crowded, and she was boisterous, and so she kept chasing the sheep. And the sheep were running through the vines. 3 or 4 got uprooted, so we lost those 3 or 4. That's about anywhere from 3 to 6 pounds of hops that didn't happen. And I was gone, but Tyler was home when this was happening. And he called me and he said, "This is not working. We got to get them out." And I had left up the previous paddock that was just on the other side of the driveway, so he just led them back over, and we realized that we were not going to be able, in that manner, not be able to run the sheep through the hops. We're talking about trying something a little different next year. Um, I'm curious if we fence Primrose next to them, um, like during the day when they're active, fence her near them, but not with them, where she can see everybody, but she's separate. Maybe that will work, because it seemed that Primrose seemed to be an instigator. And I should say, these people who run sheep in their hops, I don't think they have a donkey in there. I think she was a kind of an unknown factor in that. So we may try that. We may try that, uh, and see how that works. So as a result, we ended up having a little bit of loss at 3 to 5 pounds that didn't develop. And I told Tyler, I said, we need to call whatever brew on that row that you harvest from that row. Let's call it Donkey Did This. Donkey Did This is going to be the name of the hops that weren't, the hops that didn't happen. So sheep are doing well overall. Everybody looks good. Knock on wood. Still no sign of a recurrence of the last year's parasite issue. I'm very hopeful that we have steered clear of that this time around, because I kind of feel like if it was going to happen, and it still could happen, it definitely still could happen, but it hit us hard in early August last year when we got really hot. Well, this year we got really hot sooner, and that's when that parasite can become very active, and everybody looks good. Even the young ones look good. So I'm really hopeful that they're that one treatment that we did, and then the frequent moves and all that kind of stuff, we've hopefully mitigated that, but we'll continue to see. I also talked about one of the young ewes a couple of weeks ago. She had something going on with her eye. It had gotten really hazy and clouded over. It was her right eye. Nothing else looked weird about it. It wasn't weepy or draining or anything. It didn't look like she had been injured as far as I could tell, but it looked like she was starting to go blind or had gone blind in that eye. Told Marcy about it. We kind of batted back and forth a few different things. Frankly, I was not going to be able to catch this ewe. She was not going to let me catch her. She was still moving around fine, seemed to navigate everything okay, and was eating and drinking and doing all normal sheep activities. And since it didn't look like the way pink eye presents, which can be very contagious, I basically just left it alone. Because again, these sheep, they're hands-off sheep. That's the whole idea. And darned if it's normal again. Her eye looks normal. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I haven't been able to find a good answer on the internet, but it looks normal to me now. So, I don't know if she maybe had gotten something in it, or when they were in some tall stuff, if it had somehow gotten jabbed by something. I don't know, but she looks great. And she's definitely put on a little bit more weight. Everybody's been moving around real good. So the sheep continue to do their thing, and I'm happy about it. Rest of the animals are fine. Chickens are being chickens. I've been harvesting a ton of compost out of their kind of compost corral system. Been real happy with that, and spent about 3 evenings this week and the week before, kind of doing like the late summer garden revival, like where some of the weeds had gotten away from me, got them cleaned out, fed a bunch of weeds to rabbits and chickens, and then scooped out a whole lot of compost and added that into the beds. Threw in a bunch of seed for root crops. I've got a couple of short duration squashes that I threw in there, so just kind of went for that late summer garden revival deal. And I kind of at this point, like I don't do a lot of summer variety. We do a lot of winter squashes. I do a lot of tomatoes. Peppers didn't make it this year. Do a whole lot of edible flowers, all kinds of odds and ends like that. And just kind of I did, basically I went through and looked at my seed packets. Everything that I had had enough time before frost to get another harvest off of, I just threw seed in there like I do. Tucked in some butter crunch lettuce in some of the shadier areas at the uppermost portion of it, and they're coming up. So it was not too hot to sprout those, which was good. And got some more beans coming up, that sort of thing. Just because I like to putter in my garden. It's my idea of a good time. Um, what else we got here? Reminder about the foraging class. If folks are catching this on the replay as well, foraging class here on the farm, August 17th, 11 a.m. to noon. Holler at me, strongrootsresources at gmail.com. It's $20 a person, or trade me something cool. I don't care. And we're just going to do, we're going to do about a 3-hour walkabout. There's a lot of late summer stuff to show. Things to start thinking about for the fall in terms of your nut trees and things of that nature. Kind of thinking about where you want to harvest your roots. This is a good time to mark that kind of stuff so you can remember where it is. And yeah, we'll have a good time. We'll have some refreshments here. Make sure everybody has plenty of cold water and tea to drink. And for folks who want to hang out a little bit after the end of the class, we can kind of do a farm tour as a whole and show the sheep and do a little more Q&A. One other thing I got coming up, although it is just a little ways out, September 14th, there's going to be a health fair through the CHIO organization that I'm a member of. This is an organization that kind of coalesces multiple alternative healthcare options for people, as well as businesses that align with taking care of yourself, like growing your own food. I'll have a booth there. This is always a really well attended event. I've been doing this one a few years in a row now, and it's always been a good return on me. I always meet a couple of people who end up following up with me, so it's always been worth my time. And when I went to my very first one, that's where I found my direct primary care physician, my chiropractor. The next one I did, I found my massage therapist, and I'm probably forgetting a few others. But I have located really useful people in my life and some of these people have also become customers of mine. So it's worked out both ways. So that's going to be on September 14th. I'll get that shared around in the usual locations. But if you're in the Knoxville area, it's going to be in Farragut, and it's worth your while. Well, crap, guys. Those are my notes. So let's see if I can get my brain to pull together here on a topic that I ponder actually privately and in my own noggin quite frequently, and I talk about it with Angel quite a bit, but I don't really discuss it publicly too much. Maybe because even within like the homesteading and prepper space, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. So now that I've done this whole lead up, I'm going to try to kind of talk about where the concepts of rewilding and the I don't want to call it the fall of civilization, but most certainly we are seeing the decline of empire and the decline of civilization, how those two things work together, or maybe even work against each other. And I guess why I kind of hold the opinions that I do. So again, warning, this is free form carry. This is literally like I just kind of felt like I want to talk about this. So, and it's going to kind of tie in a little bit to the wacky stuff going on in the news, which is, I think, at best spun big time and more likely almost completely false. I'm kind of one of those people. I think most of what they show us on television is just as fictional as the Deep Space Nine show that I just finished watching. So I have always kind of, ever since I was a little kid, I never really felt I've always felt out of touch with kind of like the larger uh, paradigm that we're kind of expected to just be okay with and accept. And I'm sure you guys who are hanging out in the audience are kind of you're going to pick up what I'm throwing down here. Most of us feel this way to some degree. Uh, most of us can see in this space can see the level of manipulation and the way advertising works and the way all these things work, how this entire machine works in order to keep people at a certain level of discontent that they continue to spend money to buy things that they don't necessarily need in order to perpetuate the cycle of the quote unquote economy and to further this attempt to hang on to kind of the American empire. I'm sure you guys know that America is more than just the 50 states. We have bases and I don't know how many countries worldwide, various, all of these. I'm blanking on the term I need right now, but like your islands, like, Puerto Rico and American Samoa, like all these kind of outlying places where America more than meddles. I should say the American government. So let me make a distinction here. Because I've always have a bit of a pet peeve of mine. When people talk about we're doing this, we're doing that, and what they're actually talking about is the United States government, which I have not chosen to vote for any of those people in like the last 3 or 4 federal election cycles. I have not participated in that at all. So when people say we, this always kind of peeves me. I'm just be careful about who you're encompassing. I do not decide to go screw with another country. I do not decide to go bomb citizens who are not harming me. Thank you, Pippinized territories, U.S. territories. Yeah, the American empire is incredibly vast. Like, look it up sometime. It's pretty crazy. I like to draw that distinction. So when I hear folks talk about we do this, we do that, just be careful about that, because I'm sure most of you guys will agree we have almost no control over what the government, and I'm talking about the federal government, and global entities at this point, United Nations and things like that. They're going to do what they're going to do, and none of us are going to be able to affect that. None of us are going to be able to change that, and that's just how it's going to remain as long as that system remains in place. But as I'm sure you guys have noticed, the system appears to be kind of coming apart at the seams to the point where it has gotten so absurd. The things we're being told, the things that various so-called leaders are saying is so absurd. At this point, I think if you want to maintain a little bit of mental happiness and health, you either have to ignore it or just laugh at it, because it's really that bad. So back to my thoughts about the decline of empire. It to me, it is relatively clear that things actually are not better as a whole since the 1960s or 70s, with the exception of technology having more, basically smaller things, more powerful devices in a smaller package. Yes, that's definitely been a thing. Could also argue that maybe that hasn't always been a good thing, because none of us have to think too hard about what addiction to social media does to people, what having your dopamine levels wrecked can really look like, and especially what that does to young people. So it seems like the party has kind of overstayed its welcome, is a sense that I get. And I'm also, so here's where I differ from a lot of people in the prepper space and that kind of thing. I also don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think there's going to be some kind of huge like a nuclear exchange or a giant sudden collapse, a sudden violent collapse. I don't know why. I'm a bit of a student of history, and so I've been reading. A lot of this comes from reading The Fourth Turning is Here, which is the companion to the book that came out in 1996, The Fourth Turning, which works to lay out generational cycles. If you guys have not read that book, highly, highly recommend it. It really gives you a long view, and in a lot of ways, it can dispel a lot of anxiety about thinking it's all going to fall apart and it's all going to be, Mad Max and that kind of thing. We all know that, violence, small scale and large scale, can happen at any time, unpredictably so. But I tend not to put my focus on that. And you guys, I've read as much hardcore prepper fiction as anybody. I've read all of the 1 Second After series. I've read Chris Weathers' books. I mean, all those books. Chris Weatherman from Angry American and all that. So it's not like I haven't been exposed to the stuff. I most certainly have. And I was reading old school, what would now be called prepper fiction, but kind of apocalyptic fiction. The Stand, when I was a little kid, of all things. Probably shouldn't have been, but I did. So I've always kind of been fascinated with the topic of decline and collapse. And then around 15 years ago or so, I ran across, this was around the time where I was becoming interested in peak oil and peak energy, and was trying to figure out if that was a real thing or not. Ran across the work of John Michael Greer. He is a super interesting fella, very well read, very prolific author, and writes a lot on the natural world and topics of druidry and nature spirituality. So I enjoy it from that angle. But he also writes about the decline of civilization and how that looks. So he lays out this concept called catabolic collapse, and we can see this happening in real time right now. So this is kind of an example of when things become more expensive, you have less of the thing. So your bag of chips is both more expensive and you have less chips, and somehow they're not as tasty as they used to be. And as the more things break down, the more this cycle kind of perpetuates. And you can also look at this from energy inputs. So if you have, if it costs more, if it takes more oil to extract the same amount of oil, you're in a hole. I mean, you're literally like in an energy debt. And so look up catabolic collapse sometimes if you guys haven't been exposed to this concept. Really, 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 you can get a really good thought exercise off of this. Pip and I says it's working as intended. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's the system is, I'm pretty sure they're trying to wreck things. And I think they're trying to push for some kind of reset. But here's where I come in with my perspective on things, because I'm also not nihilistic about this at all. I don't have my head in the sand, but I'm also not just, oh, woe is me, everything's going to fall apart. And I don't know if this is because I reached such a level of burnout in my former career in EMS that it's kind of just carried over to other things. That's entirely possible. But I feel like I am kind of here to watch and observe what happens and be part of a solution, and not necessarily I don't have a utopia mindset, or I guess my idea of utopia is definitely not most people's of utopia. Mine, I'm actually I'm not saying I've reached utopia, but I'm pretty close to what I've wanted to be doing all along. Living on the land, working on the land, working with natural systems that make sense, that are reliably, there's no lie in nature. I forget who says that, where that originates, but there's no lie in nature. Nature has a reason for everything it does, and it's kind of our duty as humans to understand it and participate in it appropriately. So I am not real concerned about this decline, because I feel like it's happening at such a rate that is incremental enough that at the rate at which I address things, I can kind of make do with it. Keeping in mind that as a overly complex system fails, there is a huge waste stream to be accessed, and there's all these different little pockets of needs to be filled. Um, if I was trying to do what I do now, teaching people about developing their land in a resilient manner, um, smart ways of perennial food production. If I had tried to do this as a business, as a consulting and education business in the 1930s, when that's what most people did on some scale, anyhow, there would have been no such thing. I could have been a farmer, sure, but not necessarily a teacher who got paid for that knowledge and skill set. So there are, I guess I want to drive home the point that even with this very slow and creaky and bizarre collapse, there's so many pockets of opportunity. You would be surprised because of the amount of knowledge that has been lost. You would be surprised at how many opportunities are there to pick up the slack for that. I realized this just a couple of days ago when one of my customers sent me a picture of a cucumber and said, "What's wrong with this cucumber?" It was big and yellow. And I said, "Well, it's overripe. It needed to be picked sooner." Sometimes we overlook them. It's okay. It's no big deal. But she just didn't know. She just didn't know. And for those of us who are gardeners and things, that's just automatic. It's just automatic knowledge that we picked up somewhere along the way. But maybe at some point we didn't know that either. We might have been a little kid when we didn't know that. We might have been an adult, but at some point we learned that. And this is somebody who is an adult, older than me, and simply had never been exposed to that information before. And now she has that information. And I was able to expand upon, if you look at the pattern in nature, what is nature trying to do? It's trying to make another cucumber. So it's going to, flesh out in such a way to protect those seeds, to provide a coating so that when it, if it's eaten by an animal at this point, those seeds will probably pass through viable in manure, and it can make more cucumber. And the fact that it's getting bitter is also protecting that plant and making it more likely that the correct kind of animal will help make more cucumbers, or it'll just sit and rot and you will have cucumber sprouts coming up the following year when the temperatures are right. So you can really kind of, if you follow back, if you take a piece of information like that, like, okay, yes, it's an overripe cucumber, but why? And what does that mean? And follow it through to a conclusion, then you'll start seeing these kind of patterns repeat themselves everywhere. This is why I don't think I will ever get bored with what I do, because there's always another layer to uncover. So I guess I'm sitting here to remind people that the crap that's on it, and it is crap that is on television, that is on, the bulk of social media company approved feeds, it's just junk. It's junk food for your head. And really serves no purpose at all, except to, control and manipulate you and all that kind of stuff. This whole thing, I don't know what our society is going to look like when I'm, hopefully old and in my 80s. Hard to say. Could be a lot more local. I kind of think it will be. I think there'll be some areas that are still, like, I think some cities will still be kind of chugging along. I think suburbs will be less populated. I think there'll be more people, or suburbs will kind of be, there'll be like multiple lots adjoined doing a thing together instead of everybody trying to stay in their own little yard doing their own little thing. I think it'll be a lot more community oriented, a lot more localized. and we might not be getting things from Amazon in 2 days. Have you noticed that getting things in it from Amazon in 2 days is not a thing anymore? I mean, that's one right there. That's one that's just changed just in the last few years. Uh, and I think folks need to be, as much as I don't like try to tell people what to do. I'm going to share my opinion on this. Um, like I would uh, try look for those cycles. Like um, look for the patterns. It's permaculture principle. Identify your patterns, then start applying your details, and look at question things. And I know my audience and a lot of folks who pick this up and follow these kind of channels, they're already doing this. And I'm kind of putting this out there for the persons they're maybe starting to wake up and looking around saying this is kind of screwball. Look for the patterns, ask questions. Maybe don't give too much of a darn what other people think, especially people whose values you don't necessarily share. And just keep in mind that we're all in the midst of history. All of us, as we just, for whatever reason, intended or not, landed here at this time to see this particular, showdown happen. Be mindful of where you spend your energy. Attention is energy. Paying attention, that is energy. That is currency. So keep that in mind as well. And if you want to dig into, I didn't really get into the rewilding part. That's so complex. I might want to save that for a separate episode. But look into the works of John Michael Greer, especially. And if you want to go even a little bit deeper, read guys like Derek Jensen and John Zerzan. They are basically critiques of civilization. They feel that when we began to expand into a civilization, that's when we strayed from our true nature as humans, basically when agriculture was invented. And they make a lot of good points. I'm not sure I agree with all of it, but they make a lot of really good points, and I get a lot from reading their work. So stuff is going to continue to be stupid. I choose to be as ignorant as possible about how stupid it is. Lately, it's been kind of hard to avoid because it's just so much in the greater conversation. And people who are preppers do like to keep tabs on things that are going on for the sake of, knowing if you need to go top off the gas cans or something like that. So read The Fourth Turning, and The Fourth Turning is here. This is going to give you such a deeper understanding of generational cycles. I would like to see us get away, us as a society. So when I'm saying us this time, I would like to see this kind of dunking on various generations, dunking on the boomers, dunking on the millennials, dunking on the Gen Z kids and young adults. I would really like to see that go away. And if you read The Fourth Turning, and The Fourth Turning is here, it'll kind of like crack open your mind. And the information is very well researched, very well cited, and quite useful. So that was kind of what was on my brain this Friday evening. So yeah, just a quick reminder here as we wrap up. Foraging class on the 17th. I think I said that was a Saturday. I think that's going to be next Saturday. Let me double check my calendar. Yes, that's going to be next Saturday. And I haven't thrown the post up about it yet, but we'll be having our quarterly gathering, homesteaders, swap meet, open house, all that good stuff on September 8th. That will be a Sunday. We'll do that from about noon to 4, I think is what we've been doing. So, yeah, if I can help you with anything, reach out to me. You know how to find me, strongrootsresources@gmail.com. I believe a link for the Telegram group is in the description. And, let me know your thoughts on stuff. Feel free to come over to the group and talk about these kind of things. I find these concepts very interesting. I'm not super attached to them. I like to contemplate them and kind of spin them around in my head. So Pippin says he started the fourth turning on audio last week. They have big words and such. Yeah, it's a little bit dense. I mean, it's pretty academic, um, and it is because he's showing this pattern. It's I don't want to say it's too repetitive, but it's because I read. Well, I'm of course I'm reading the new one, so the fourth turning is here. What I'm reading right now. I am kind of jumping around a little bit because I've kind of I like to see what he's proposing for what my generation. So I am right there on the. I'm technically a millennial, but I'm an older millennial. I'm like a first generation millennial. I like to see what they feel our generation will be addressing as we get into our 50s and 60s. So very interesting stuff. Choose to look at this. Choose to look at um, the time we're in as we are here for a reason. We get to help sort this stuff out. We get to help people if we choose. Navigate this. It is pretty strange. Maybe we shouldn't go around slamming people too hard with nasty memes. And I love me a good meme, and I drop some good ones in the TSP meme chat sometimes. But I think we're getting closer to a time where we are working more cooperatively without giving up our individuality and individual rights. That right there, that's my utopia. I do want to work closer with more community members, not necessarily a bunch of people on my land, but certainly as close as possible. I get a lot of satisfaction from that, but not by sacrificing a bunch of my own dreams and my vision and basically the way I want to coordinate my life. I think it is possible to be strong individualists and have a successful community. We come together and we do it at things like Self-Reliance Festival, Back to the Land, various workshops. We do it all the time. It comes naturally to a lot of us. So yeah, just something for you guys to ponder. I think I'm probably going to wrap it up there. I am getting pretty hungry, and I think Angel is making tacos. We're having tacos, not on Tuesday, but Friday tacos, which is ideal. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out. It's always good to hear from you. Take it easy. Reach out if I can help you with anything at all. And y'all have an excellent weekend.